Can a single note shatter prejudice and reveal hidden talent? Welcome to Once Upon a Voice, where courage creates legends. May I play for food? The shy voice of 12-year-old Amelia Washington echoed through the lobby of the Continental Hotel, cutting through elegant conversations like a sharp blade. People stopped talking, turning to face the little black girl who dared interrupt the city's most exclusive charity cocktail party. Amelia stood at the entrance to the main hall, her large, hopeful eyes fixed on the Steinway grand piano, gleaming beneath crystal chandeliers. Her simple, slightly baggy clothes contrasted starkly with the designer dresses and tailored suits around her. She clutched a worn backpack to her chest as if it were a protective shield. Can her music silence a room full of doubt? Stay with Once Upon a Voice to find out. Before we dive in, drop a comment. What time is it, and where are you watching from? Let's start. "How did that kid get in here?" whispered a platinum-haired woman, clutching her champagne glass tightly. "Where's security?" The event was a gala to raise funds for underprivileged youth, an irony not lost on Amelia, who had spent the last week sleeping in shelters. She'd heard about the event passing by the hotel entrance earlier, and something compelled her to try to get in. Victoria Sterling, the event organizer and heir to a family fortune, approached with measured steps. At 45, she epitomized the city's social elite, educated, refined, and utterly convinced of her moral superiority. "Darling," she said with a condescending smile, "this is no place for you. There's a McDonald's 2 blocks from here." "I just want to play," Amelia repeated, her voice gaining unexpected firmness. "Just one song in exchange for a plate of food." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "She thinks she can play the piano," scoffed a man in a navy blue suit. "She probably doesn't even know which key is C." "It's cute how imaginative these kids are," added another woman, shaking her head with feigned pity. But Amelia didn't look down. There was a quiet dignity, a silent confidence in her posture that seemed out of place for a child in her situation, as if she knew something the crowd was unaware of. Dr. Robert Chun, a renowned pianist and national competition judge, watched from the back of the hall. He noticed how Amelia's eyes fixed on the piano with a reverence he rarely saw, even in advanced students, a recognition, a familiarity. "Victoria," Dr. Chun approached, "maybe we should let her play. After all, we're here to help talented young people, aren't we?" Victoria laughed, a crystalline, cruel sound. "Robert, please look at her. Children like this don't have access to music education. It's impossible." What none knew was that Amelia had grown up for her first 8 years in a home where music was as essential as breathing. Her grandmother, a classical pianist who never achieved recognition due to her skin color, had been her only teacher. When her grandmother died and Amelia entered the foster care system, she carried not only the pain of loss, but a talent she didn't fully understand. While the crowd looked at her with disdain, Amelia stood firm, as someone who'd weathered worse storms and found strength in vulnerability. Her fingers moved unconsciously, as if playing an invisible melody, a habit to calm herself in tough moments. Will one song change everything? Keep watching Once Upon a Voice to see how Amelia's courage unfolds. Victoria crossed her arms, laughing theatrically, as if she'd heard the most absurd joke. "Very well, dear," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Since you insist, let's make a deal. You can play, but with conditions." The crowd drew closer, sensing a cruel spectacle. Victoria loved being the center of attention, especially when she could flaunt her moral superiority. "First condition," she announced, raising a manicured finger. "You'll play one song and we'll choose it. Second condition, if you play decently, I'll personally pay for a full dinner. But," she paused dramatically, "when you fail miserably, as we know you will, you'll leave immediately and never bother respectable people again." "How cruel," whispered an older woman at the back, but her voice was drowned by the crowd's approving laughter. Amelia remained motionless, her eyes fixed on the piano. Memories mingled with the present. She could hear her grandmother Betty's soft voice. "When people belittle you, let the music speak, my dear. Music doesn't lie, and it knows no prejudice." "I accept," Amelia said simply, her voice clear and firm. Dr. Chun watched, fascinated. There was something in her posture, the way she looked at the instrument, that intrigued him deeply. In 30 years of evaluating pianists, he developed an instinct for true talent, and this child made his senses tingle. Perfect, Victoria clapped. Now for the music. She scanned the room, seeking the most difficult, humiliating option.
Her eyes settled on James Morrison, a mediocre bar pianist. "James, dear, what's a suitable piece for our young artist?" James smiled mischievously. "How about Beethoven's Für Elise? Everyone who's sat at a piano tries it. If she knows anything, she should manage." The choice drew laughter. Für Elise was considered a beginner's piece among laymen. But playing it perfectly required refined technique and years of practice, a perfect trap. If Amelia knew only basics, she'd try and fail disastrously. If she knew nothing, she couldn't even start. "Excellent choice," Victoria applauded. "A song any child with a piano lesson knows. No excuses for failure." Amelia nodded and walked toward the piano, each step charged with quiet determination that made some guests feel inexplicably uncomfortable. A 12-year-old shouldn't carry such dignity in the face of humiliation. When she sat on the piano bench, adjusting it with precise, familiar movements, Dr. Chen felt a chill. Those weren't beginner movements. "Look at that," Victoria sneered to nearby guests. "She doesn't even know how to sit properly. She's probably never seen a real piano." But Dr. Chen noticed the opposite: the bench adjustment, the upright posture, the perfect classical hand position. These took years to master. Memories flooded Amelia's mind. Her grandmother, Betty Washington, had been one of the first black pianists to try entering the city's conservatory in the 1960s. Her talent was undeniable. But prejudice closed doors. Betty turned her home into a musical haven, teaching community. Children, transforming her old upright piano into a portal to classical music. "Music is your universal language, Amelia," she'd say, guiding her granddaughter's fingers. "When you play from the heart, people listen with their soul, not their eyes." Amelia spent countless hours at that piano, absorbing technique and musical understanding only a true master could impart. When Betty died and Amelia was separated from everything, music remained her constant companion, played on imaginary pianos in shelters. "We're waiting," Victoria said, drumming impatient fingers. "Or have you given up?" Amelia took a deep breath and placed her hands on the keys. The touch was like electricity. After months without a real instrument, feeling the keys was like rediscovering her soul. The first note echoed with crystal purity, making several guests look up in surprise, not the hesitant, amateur sound they expected, but one played with intimate confidence. Dr. Chen approached discreetly, his curiosity aroused. That note had impeccable technique, precise attack, perfect sustain. Controlled timbred tales only serious training produced. "Coincidence?" Victoria murmured, her confidence waning. Amelia began, Für Elise. Every note a small miracle. No hesitation, no error. The music flowed naturally, as if she and the piano were one. But there was more an emotional maturity that stunned Dr. Chen. Her phrasing, dynamics, and silences spoke as much as the notes. The hall fell silent. Champagne glasses stilled, conversations ceased. Waiters stopped. Everyone was mesmerized by the small figure creating breathtaking beauty. Victoria felt growing unease. Her planned humiliation was unraveling. As Amelia played, lost in the music, one question echoed. Who was this girl really? And what secrets was her music about to reveal? As she navigated Für Elise's complex passages, Dr. Chen's heart raced. Her technique wasn't just competent, it was extraordinary. The descending arpeggio, which stumped advanced students, flowed like crystal water. Each note had weight. Each pause breathed mature musicality. He watched her control the sustained pedal with concert pianist precision. "This is impossible," he muttered, moving closer. Victoria sensed the shifting atmosphere. Conversations stopped. Waiters paused, mesmerized. She must have memorized this from a YouTube video. Victoria said loudly, trying to regain control. Kids copy anything online. But her explanation sounded weak. Amelia's playing transcended imitation, pure interpretation with emotional depth from years of study and experience. She'd seen prodigies from 5-year-olds playing Mozart to teens mastering Rachmaninoff. But rarely such technique and maturity in someone so young in such unlikely circumstances. Amelia reached the climax, the melody returning with renewed force. Her hands danced with familiarity, revealing thousands of hours of practice. Memories flowed like an underground river. Betty's voice echoed, "Music isn't about right notes, my dear. It's about telling your story." Betty, born in 1940, faced exclusion from conservatories but turned her home into a musical temple where community. Children learned classical music belonged to them, too. "The world will say certain things aren't for us," she'd tell Amelia, adjusting her posture. "But music knows no color, poverty, or limits, only truth." For 8 years, Amelia absorbed technique and philosophy. Betty taught her each composer's language: Chopin's longing, Beethoven's struggle, Mozart's joy. When Betty died suddenly, Amelia lost her world. The foster system separated her from music, but she carried melodies in her mind, playing imaginary keyboards in cold dormitories. Now at the Continental, it all returned, every lesson, correction, encouragement flowing through her hands. Dr. Chen watched in awe as Amelia played the final coda, starting pianissimo, building to a majestic forte, then returning to a delicate whisper. "Please tell me you're seeing this," he whispered to a colleague, a piano professor. "This child's a phenomenon." Victoria felt the ground shift. Her plan to humiliate was backfiring. Instead of confirming prejudices, Amelia forced everyone to question assumptions about class, race, and merit. "It's a trick," Victoria murmured. "No one learns piano like that out of nowhere." But her words sounded desperate. Amelia's excellence came from places privilege couldn't reach. She played the final chords with delicacy, making the audience hold their breath. When the last echo died, she kept her hands suspended, reluctant to break the connection. Then, she turned to face the silent crowd. The shy child was gone, replaced by a young artist who'd claimed her place. Dr. Chun's respectful applause broke the silence. Others joining until the hotel vibrated with acclaim. Victoria panicked. Her humiliation had turned into a celebration of the talent she'd tried to deny. If they were wrong about this child, what else were they wrong about? Amelia sat calmly, letting applause wash over her like rain after drought. Behind her eyes, a growing understanding of her power formed an arrogance, but awareness. Dr. Chen approached, his expression mixing admiration and curiosity. "Child, may I ask where you studied? Your teacher must be extraordinary." Amelia met his gaze, letting 4 years of pain show. "My grandmother taught me," she replied simply. "She said music was the one thing no one could take away." The answer struck Dr. Chen like lightning. A grandmother, not a conservatory family love, not privilege. Everything he believed about musical excellence was challenged by a 12-year-old. Amelia had crossed a line. She could no longer be just a lost child. Her music revealed too much, promised too much. With expectation heavy in the air, she had to decide how far to take this revelation, and if she was ready to show what a worthless child could do when music spoke through her soul. Dr. Chen approached with careful steps, as if nearing something sacred. "Young lady," he said, voice trembling, "I need to ask an important question. What's your full name?" "Amelia Washington," she replied, calm as ever. The name hit Dr. Chen like a bolt. "Washington. Betty Washington. Are you Betty's granddaughter?" Amelia nodded. Dr. Chen covered his face. "My God," he murmured. Betty Washington was one of the greatest pianists this country produced. She should have played the best conservatories, but his voice faltered, laden with pain. Victoria watched, uneasy. "Robert, what are you talking about?" Dr. Chen turned, his expression mixing disbelief and disgust. Victoria Betty Washington was a legend in music. A virtuoso excluded from conservatories because of her color. She trained dozens of professionals. The crowd murmured, some recognizing the name. Betty was whispered about as a teacher who transformed dedicated students. "That was decades ago," Victoria said defensively. "Even if true, it doesn't change that she's a homeless person begging at a private event." Amelia rose from the bench, her submissive posture gone, replaced by unshakable dignity. "Miss Sterling," she said clearly, "you're right about one thing. I shouldn't be here tonight." She paused, letting silence settle. "I should be at Carnegie Hall, where I have a recital next week." A deathly silence fell. Victoria felt the floor. "Move! My name is Amelia Washington," she continued. "I'm the youngest classical pianist accepted into Juilliard's Young Artist Program and the current national champion for under-15s. The reason I'm here isn't for food or money." Dr. Chen watched pieces falling into place. "The documentary," he murmured. "You're making the documentary?" Amelia nodded. "Exactly. I'm collaborating with PBS on a documentary about prejudice and arts access. My producer suggested I attend charity events disguised as a resourceless youth to document how privileged people treat those they consider inferior." The revelation hit like a bomb. Victoria paled. "You're filming us." "Hidden cameras," Amelia confirmed calmly. "High definition, audio and video. Everything tonight is documented for national broadcast." Victoria looked around desperately. "That's illegal. You can't film without consent?" "Actually," Dr. Chen interjected dark satisfaction in his voice, "you signed image releases on the ticket. It's clear this event could be filmed for documentaries." He smiled wryly. "I'm sure no one read the fine print." The crowd stirred, checking tickets, panic palpable. "The documentary's first part," Amelia continued, "will show how talent is overlooked when packaged in unexpected appearances. The second will show how arts defenders react to real art from unexpected sources. I documented your true personalities when you thought there'd be no consequences." Dr. Chen approached with respect. "What do you intend with this recording?" "It airs nationally next month," Amelia explained. "I also post shorter versions on my YouTube channel. My Boston event video has 2.5 million views." The crowd watched in horror as Victoria faced her situation. Her cruelty would be seen by millions, her name tied to elitism. "Mrs. Sterling," Amelia said, "you spent tonight saying people like me don't belong. Tomorrow, the world will see who you really are." Victoria tried to speak, but words failed. Dr. Chen asked, "How many events have you filmed?" "This is the 12th, Amelia replied. "It's always the same people claiming to value art, judging talent by appearance." She turned to Victoria. "The difference is, when I was homeless after my grandmother's death, I learned dignity doesn't come from money or status. It comes from how we treat others when we think no one's watching." Silence deafened the hall. Everyone knew their actions would be judged by millions. As Amelia collected her hidden recording device, one question hung heavy. How many others had learned too late that the young woman they despised could reveal their true nature? 6 months later, Victoria watched from her small apartment as Amelia, in an elegant concert gown, waved to fans at Carnegie Hall for her debut as the season's youngest soloist. The documentary Faces of Discrimination went viral, with 15 million YouTube views. Victoria became a symbol of elitist hypocrisy, losing her charity positions and society's respect. Headlines read, *Former charity organizer exposed as prejudiced. In viral documentary *. Her events company lost clients. She now worked as a law firm assistant, rebuilding a shattered reputation. Dr. Chen became Amelia's mentor, guiding her in professional classical music. The Continental Hotel, embarrassed, created a scholarship for underprivileged musicians, naming Amelia ambassador. Music knows no color, class, or zip code, Amelia said in her first national interview. It knows only truth and passion, and with both, no barrier can stop you. The documentary sparked change. Music schools launched outreach. Conservatories revised admissions, and talented youth gained opportunities. Victoria, watching Amelia triumph where she'd tried to humiliate her, learned a painful lesson: dignity. And talent can't be bought, inherited, or measured by skin color or address. Amelia's best revenge wasn't destroying Victoriette, was proving greatness transcends prejudice. And sometimes those least expected carry extraordinary gifts. If this story of overcoming adversity touched your heart, subscribe to Once Upon, a voice for more inspiring stories of excellence breaking through obstacles.